Hello and good afternoon, Spirit Medicine Ways. So nice to be with you here today. Welcome to the Let's Talk Medicine video series. This is video number 2. Our first video was the Sacred Medicines introduction. Our second video was tobacco, Santa Maria, aka cannabis, psilocybin. And this medicine, one dear to my heart, this video, which is medicine, one dear to my heart is on traditional Amazonian medicines: Ayahuasca, Kambo, Sananga, and Hape. So welcome. It is an honor to be with you here today, and I want to send you all full moon blessings, this blessed full moon in Libra, and as well as Holy Week blessings for those of us who celebrate or who observe the Christian or Jewish Holy Week. Many blessings. So hopefully we'll talk a little bit about that in context of this video, and a little bit about this video and its how it came to be, this series. This video actually, traditional Amazonian medicines, came from a series called Meet the Medicine. And I believe in our intro video, I talked about this briefly, and I just want to share a little bit because this inspired quite a movement. About 3 years ago, I had just started facilitating ceremonies, and I had a lot of people very well aware, well, myself and my blessed medicine partner at the time and currently, friend and sister and partner, we're getting a lot of people asking about understanding the medicine in a very lay word and in a very lay form, and also very experiential form. And like good listeners of the community, this series, Meet the Medicine, came up. And the idea of this series was to meet the medicine. And we, the people who are facilitating the medicine, and specifically me and my sisters who did this open forum per se, were actually the medicine, right? So the idea was that when you met with the people, and that would be myself and the other women, then you were meeting the medicine, because there's an idea in spirit medicine or psychedelic medicine, if you would like to call it that. I go with the term spirit medicine because that's how spirit has brought it through me. Once you ingest the medicine, you are always the medicine. Once you ingest the medicine, you are always the medicine. Whether you ingest it one time or you ingest it over the course of your lifetime, every month, one time. So with that being said, that's where this series came from. And so it was actually one that inspired this whole look at what are medicines and what is actually sacred medicine. And that was something that we did face to face. And then it was being called on a larger scope, on a global scope, which is a little different, right? Because we don't have people asking questions or this dynamic, interactive setting. We have me talking to a computer screen, which is the least thing I like to do. I love the humans and I love to engage with them, but nonetheless, this wanted to come forth. So that's a little bit about how this series got started, and I'm excited that I'm able to share that context, because that Meet the Medicine really took a propelling step and really informed much of the work that we're doing, because we got to hear from people. So thank you so much for that community at large that made that request and gave us the opportunity to share by way of the medicine that we are and the medicine that is within us. Also, a little bit about how this series, today's, is gonna unfold. Very interesting. I'm a social worker, as many of you know, licensed in the States and in New York. And I recently have been going back to get CEUs, which has been an interesting experience for me, because I found that CEUs are very limiting in terms of what I would like to learn and how I would like to apply it into how I'm evolving as a clinician as well as a medicine woman. And so this week I was very fortunate to visit on Monday a workshop that focused on opioids and cannabis. And I had many responses to this workshop. And interesting enough that it was in this week, and it was also right after I had already presented on our other video, which was Cannabis's Week. So interesting enough, this medicine workshop is being presented very differently than how I speak about it, right? It's being presented by way of calling it a drug. And I have a very mixed response to that word, because it carries such a strong connotation, and it has been put by our government and our system in a scope of control. And anything that moves into a way of control now moves into the way of the mind, and then moves into the way of ego energy. Ego, not ego. But thank you, ego, for letting me know that you're hearing me. So ego energy, right? And when it moves into that space of the human power, then it starts moving into a space of control, power, and regulations, and all these very important parts, though also very out of hand. We're seeing just alone with the way that we're growing and evolving as a human society and as a human being, as a collective, we're seeing that these controls have actually created bigger issues in our society. And then naturally what we start to do is we try to control more, which is actually the opposite. It's like trying to heal violence with violence. It doesn't work. But when you work on healing violence with love, then it works supremely so. Or actions of rambunctiousness with peace. It's very, very helpful. And but sometimes things have to happen the way that they do. So I went to this workshop, and it felt to me like it was very much presented on all the things that were very wrong with this medicine. And it was very much put in the context of drugs, and it was taken out of the context of spirituality. We call it religiosity, but these medicines are actually spirit medicines. And so when we're able to use it much more in a scientific form as by way of their communication with our soul, then we're able to see them in a much more medicine capacity. And so it influenced me, or it gave me a better understanding of my role in sharing about these medicines. And the medicines have a tendency to very much so gift me an understanding by way of speaking. Many of us, and what we'll start to see even more as we move forward in our evolution as humans, is that we'll start to see our vehicles used in a form of channeling much more commonly and much more relatably. And so it's not going to be something that is just for anybody, right? Like just for one select person who has channeling or clairvoyant abilities, but it's going to be for all of us. And it's a beautiful gift that we're getting as we evolve as a human being and as a collective. And so I realized that the medicines wanted me to speak by way of sacred ways and understanding that these are sacred medicines. So I hope that this makes sense, and that now that this medicine is a vehicle for my being, and when I sit with people and when I share with people in ceremony, I often do a lot of the medicine works through me and my vehicle by way of shamanic doctoring. And the medicine has different ways of working with everyone, and that's why it's a spirit, right? Because it is the leader. And the way that it offers me to facilitate a ceremony or to guide, whatever choice of words we use, but to be present there and to hold space, is maybe different for another person. So I often do a lot of work with the soul. I often will say in a ceremony that my collective vision is that I may be able to support the people's souls, and I may be able to see the soul, that the medicine through my eyes can see the soul, so that I can be the greatest supporter in the soul healing. Also, taking that in, the name of ayahuasca is often called, it's often referred to as the vine of the soul, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And we'll talk about, I just want to say, preface this with, every time we heal, we ascend. And that's something that I find that these medicines, specifically ayahuasca, has taught me, that we think, or we have the understanding that we come into space to only gain spiritual enlightenment. Though there's an understanding with our soul that we're moving through certain things so that we can ascend and we can move through them. And the more that we ascend and the more that we heal through and clear through, is the more that we will continue to evolve. So with that being said, I want us to thank you so very much. I look forward to sharing about these medicines and just allowing us to come into space and calling in the realms as we move into blessed medicines. calling to the spirits and the guardians of these blessed ways, the spirits and the guardians of our soul, the spirits and the guardians of these earth medicines who have come to see us through, who have come to open us to all that we are and to bring us into our full form, into our blessed light and the place of our soul, fully incarnated here on earth while we are always transcending and ascending that way with our spirit. We call to the blessed ways of ayahuasca, the blessed vine of the soul, to open us to all that we are. And from this beautiful, unique video, that it may transmit all of its teachings and it may go deep into the DNA wall and allow it to already start working with the blessed souls. And we call to the spirits and the guardians, the blessed ones of Kambo, the blessed frog, the frog that opens us to all of our organs, that connects us back in a blessed form to our body in full context, bringing the belows to above, to the within. We call to you, King Kambo, Dr. Cito of the Amazon, to come into full form. We call to you, blessed beings of Hape, the blessed tobacco snuff that has been used in many countries out of sorts. And we call to the spirit of tobacco to come in and to purify and to clarify our lenses and our first eyes, so that we may open to the wisdom and the age and the old ancient form that these sacred earth medicines have come to gift us. And we call to the blessed beings of Sananga, Sananga, the blessed eye medicine that clarifies all that is getting in the way, that clears the spots, that opens up the knowing of the spirit eyes and allows to purify and to open and revitalize the blessed human eyes. We call to you, blessed spirits and guardians of the earth spirit medicine ways, to carry us through this vision, through this video, and through this time together. Blessed be you. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for coming into prayer and llamando a los espíritus y guardianes of these beautiful medicines. I'm just lighting our candle here. And then we bring it to. Yes, thank you. So, thank you. So, ayahuasca. This is a 2-part brew, and it's made with 2 different earth medicines, 2 different plants, and I'm going to try to pronounce them to you in my best language that I can. Ayahuasca is a mix of the Banisteriopsis capi vine and what is very well known as Trachuna, the Psychotria viridis leaf. And some different mixtures or brews, they use different type of trachuna or different type of leaf that is what we call the DMT activator. So ayahuasca, this ancient brew that has come and that everybody is talking about and has really made a scene, quite a stage and quite a presence in our psychedelic culture today. It is known in the Andes and in the Amazon as the beginner and as the initiator of the medical system. And Alberto de Rios spoke about this really eloquently in the shamanic webinar that we had through, I forget the name of that community, but he spoke really eloquently about how ayahuasca was the beginning and how it actually inspired the Andean medical system. Ayahuasca is a very ancient brew, and actually even before it was brewed, the medicine has told me that it was actually already talking to these plants and it was coming into full form. And then the humans got it. And if we know that some of the oldest carriers of this brew are the Shipibo people, and the Shipibo people are in the Amazonian basin, and they're in Bolivia and Peru and Ecuador, parts of Ecuador, and there possibly may be other parts that I'm not fully familiar of. But the Shipibo people are known to be some of the sacred people of the holders. Now this medicine, how does it work? The capi vine is actually what we understand as the MIOA inhibitor. We have enzymes in our belly and in our gut that are blockers, per se to myo inhibitors. And this vine allows, when we mix it with the DMT, the trachuna leaf, to actually be assimilated in our body. That is a very lay way of describing it to you. And I'm not going to get too deep into that part. But when this chemistry happens, we ingest it, and it also comes into our body with high levels of serotonin. And it has what we understand as alkaloids that often create visionary states. And because we mix them together with the MAI, because we mix these two plants together, the MAOI and the DMT, then we're able to access these visionary states. There is a belief in traditional and indigenous medicine that when these two come together, they're forming a spirit. Many people have said they saw the spirit of ayahuasca. Many people have, there's many accounts that talk about the mother of the forest coming to them, the grandmother ayahuasca coming to them. And this is all, everybody has many different accounts of the visuals that they've had in the encounters that they've had with this precious being. So when we ingest this spirit medicine, and when we ingest it, it has high levels of serotonin. So these high levels of serotonin will work with our neurotransmitters. Our neurotransmitters are our blessed messengers that communicate with our brain to our body and a lot of our actions. Again, very simplified versions of this, right? And so when I get these large amounts of serotonin into my body, and I also have these alkaloids in my body, I have this chemistry reaction or response that offers me a possibly visionary experience. This visionary experience can be by way of actually seeing. It can be by way of actually experiencing in my body, a much more kinesthetic experience. It could be by way of deep awareness and deep understanding just where I am. It can look like so many things. It is infinite. That's what makes this brew so special. And so when we ingest this medicine, there's an understanding that why as soon as I already start considering to take the medicine, that the medicine has already started working with me. Actually, in the Amazon, they will hold ceremonies, or they will hold circles. And everybody of the local community will come to sit with that maestra, with the maestro, with the curandero, curandera, vegetalista. These are the names of, they often refer to, or el ayahuasquera or ayahuasquero. And some of them may not even ingest medicine. It's said to believe that the medicine is so strong, and just having it in the presence of the people there, and having the medicine person ingesting it and singing through or bringing through the teachings of the medicine will actually do the healing work, right? The medicines look for vehicles, and that's where we get this understanding that our body is the vehicle. Ayahuasca can produce many different experiences in our body, and like I said, it is an ancient, and it's actually older than humanity. The medicine has shared, and I remember when I was having an experience and I was sitting for the first time alone with the medicine I was preparing to understand the medicine in a much more of a context of facilitation. And the medicine, as I was doing a major cleansing and limpia, and we'll talk a little bit about that in terms of process, told me, you know, as I was seeing such a heavy amount of things, it told me, it said, we are older than you. I am an ancient medicine that comes way before humanity even started. And I remember when I heard this message, I stood so paused. And it wasn't necessarily because I was hearing the message, but because the message resounded so deeply. And it actually moved parts of my body. A gift this medicine gives us as a society is that it creates a sense of deep knowing and remembering anciently. Does that happen in one ceremony? Maybe. Does it happen over time? I've seen it almost always. And does that always feel good? And is that always an easy experience? Well, I think that that's really a unique reality, depending on the person, and depending on the human and what they have come to do here this time and how they have come to heal through and connect deeper with the soul and their spirit in the place of ascension. So that's a little bit on the history as well as more of the scientific part. And how do we use it, as I said, traditionally in Western? I just want to make sure that I stay here on key. Traditionally, like I said, they'll use it in that form where people will just come and sit, or people will ingest the medicine. And we're seeing with the high influx now, it's been happening since the 70s. People have been visiting Peru and Ecuador for these medicines. But now, since we've, in this Western world, have gotten such a connection back to psychedelics, or as I like to refer to it, entheogenics, that we're now seeing a rise even in travel. And so we'll host a medicine ceremony or a circle, and the curandera will offer the medicine. If you do it in a Shipibo more style, which is different, it's used much more with icaros and songs, mainly only voice, and a little bit of agua florida and tobacco. Agua florida and tobacco and voice are the three elements that are consistent in every ceremony, regardless of the tradition you follow. And they're very important because, as we know from our other videos, tobacco, and I'm so sorry about that glowing lights there in the window. As we know, tobacco is a healer and tobacco is a cleanser. So when we have it in ceremony, because we visit other realms and we journey through other forms, the tobacco is very important on helping us stay well, protected, and connected. Tobacco, nicotina rustica, is very different than the tobacco of a cigarette. Check out that other video and you'll get more of that. Agua florida, it's a blessed essence water that is used to purify the space as well as the being and their aura. And while the medicine is extracting, because it is an extractor, these two are very guided allies for all that is happening for the being, right? And then we have the song, and we have the sound of the voice, which is said to carry the words of spirit, which ultimately, what we understand is that ayahuasca is actually spirit. And we understand that the vehicle by which the being, by which the spirit is working through, we understand that that the voice is going to come through. So there's an understanding that the ícaro, that the song or the sound coming through is that of the spirit talking to the medicine in you. So the medicine in me talks to the medicine in you. So three important factors that every ceremony, circle, gathering, retreat has, and if it doesn't, then it's something to just be really aware of how you'd like to do it, is sound, song, agua florida, and tabaco. So that's a little bit about the traditional. Hola mi gente, very nice to see you. Many, many blessings. We're very excited to have you here. It's an honor. So that's a little bit about it. A little traditional Western, we're seeing that we're having quite an adverse response to it. We're putting it in all these categories, and the interesting part about it is that we can't put it in a category. And we can't really make it so scientific. And that's really one of the most, the gifts for me that I love about this brew is that it's not scientifically explainable. And I appreciate that. This medicine, and I'll talk a little bit about the process, but I want to share this medicine as we try to justify it or understand it in the context of a mind, does something completely different. It actually takes us out of our mind, deeper into our body, so that we can feel our soul. And we can therefore connect and transcend to our spirit. Can that be an overwhelmingly confusing and profound, expansive experience? Yes, of course. I think about the fact that this medicine has come here at a time and has made such a resurgence at a time when humanity is going through so many changes. And it's come to some of the more powerful places on the earth. And it's making a very big presence on the scene. And so Western, we're still learning its value and we're learning where to put it. And we're very grateful within the psychedelic community to have medicines such as psilocybin, MDMA, that are already working on treating conditions that ayahuasca, this brew, will do so blessedly. So how does ayahuasca impact our body? How does it heal? And how can it also be kind of something that has to be really prepared for? Well, ayahuasca, as I said, is spirit medicine. And it will start to talk to us when we are ready to ingest it or to share it or to learn more about it. And it's so in our culture that it's probably coming up everywhere. Keep that in mind. If you're watching this video now, or if you're called to watch it at some time, that you're going to see that this is possibly a calling of the medicine, right? So when we ingest the medicine, like any trance medicine, something that lowers our brain waves and opens us to different realms and experiences within us, it's going to shift our body temperatures. It's going to shift the way that we even function in this, what we call middle world. This medicine is very proficient at helping us journey. And while we journey, it is also very proficient in helping us heal. So while we heal, we transform. And so it can make really a lot of shifts to my body temperature. I can get very hot. I can get very cold. I can sweat. I can cry. This medicine, as it's part of the heroic tradition, is known as a purgative. All these medicines that I'm going to talk about with you today are purgatives. The reason they're purgatives is because there's an understanding in shamanic-based medicine, which to me is the same as spirit medicine, is that they're helping to extract things that have been collected on our physical being and can show as physical illness, and that have clung on to us spiritually, right, in our auric or energetic field, and it extracts that. And so we often can vomit, or we'll have bowel movements, we'll have to go to the bathroom. So it is cleansing the system. And I want to be really, just really empathetic to the idea that when it's cleansing us, it is really far from saying that we're dirty, but it's saying that over time, whether it's trauma, whether it's an emotional belief, whether it's a disabling experience in the mind, it is helping to remove that. And it removes it by way of taking it out. And therefore you have the release. Often when we have that release, whether it's the vomiting or going to the bathroom or even the excess perspiration, there is an understanding that after that there comes a really clear moment of enlightenment or a clear moment of awareness and consciousness raising. And that's this, for me, that's such a great example of that approach, that it's always healing and we're always ascending. And that's what makes it such a divine spirit medicine, because it does it so well together. And so throughout a ceremony, that's kind of a characteristic that we'll have. Who is ayahuasca for? You know, I come from the school of thought that this medicine is here to serve humanity, and it's here to serve all humans in the context of understanding our path. Does that mean that all of us are going to ingest and work with ayahuasca? Maybe not. Does that mean that it is available within a sacred ritualistic capacity? Yes. And so we are able to determine. There's often contraindications for people who have had or are experiencing any disturbance psychiatrically, have high or off levels of neurotransmitters known as serotonin, or people who have had any dissociative, or what we in the psychiatric field have called um, auditory or visual stimuluses already, right? I have learned, and this medicine continues to deeply reinforce and share to me, that it's actually coming to help us heal those um, things, or those soul manifestations that we've seen as psychiatric mental disorders. It has also come to speak very loudly on how it has come to help heal the outer space relationships we have that we call addictions. This medicine is so profoundly exquisite. And to say that I or any other clinician or scientist or researcher can really bring down to the nit and grit who it can or cannot support is a little limiting. And I think that's the part that we're learning, that spirit medicines often have to be guided and trusted. And that's why we put them in a ritualistic context. And that's why we have them in a context of people who are working with this medicine. Is this medicine for everybody to serve or to facilitate? I find it that since the medicine gives us such a strong euphoric experience, people call it bliss. I prefer the word euphoric because it expands in our body so wholly, and it brings out this experience of wholeness in a way that's probably been felt only for the first time in this regard. And, or maybe not. Some people have done this in breath work. It's beautiful. There's trance traditions like Umbanda that have been doing this, and other traditions, shamanic traditions that have been doing ecstatic states. This medicine does it so profoundly in such a short period of time that it can often kind of like take us off our ground. That's why integration is so important. And that's what we're learning now, that that if we have really solid integration support following the medicine and before the medicine, then we can have a very healthy journey through, and we can have a really healthy understanding. Que bueno ver la familia, viva la familia. So, right, I found too, and this is really a word to the wise, when you're going to come to sit for this medicine, give yourself the space. At Spirit Medicine Ways, we do what's called phone consultations. It's a place where we really sit down and we do a full assessment over the phone to see if this medicine is really right for you, and if you're ready to give it the space that it needs. I find that when we do this medicine on the fly, I'm interested, it sounds so cool, I never knew about it. That's a way to come to medicine. I find that when we come in a space and when I have that call with people, that it's really helpful in helping them see the full scope of it. And then when we sit down, and then again, I'm the person that they talk to, and I'm the person that they then sit with, then they see it even in a grander scope. So the medicine just continues to evolve and giving and giving. And that really helps us see the full gamut of it. So when we do this medicine in a way to receive whatever intention we're doing, whether it's that place of pure interest and to really sit with, if that's an intention that's going to be in our highest state, then let's have that call. And I find that when we do that, that people are, because of the intimate, I find that because of the intimate relationship that this medicine opens up in circle time, that it can sometimes be very hard for people, right, to integrate later. So I really invite from the depths of my heart that if you're thinking about doing this medicine, and if you're going to sit with this phenomenal medicine, that you really allow yourself to have the time to experience it, to feel it, to receive it, and allow it to continue to work in your body. And trust Trust the people who you're sitting with. I'm just trying to center myself. Trust the people that you're sitting with, and trust yourself. And trust yourself to give yourself the time to really take it all in. Because the after is very important. I would say, and the medicine continuously tells me this. Yeah, I remember when they told me this, when I had someone who was really having a tough time, and they were like, oh, in ceremony, I just don't have visions. I just don't get any of those messages. I feel so stuck in my head. And then I kind of like helped understand better what they were doing after, and how there were very little practices of rituals. There was very little integration activity that followed. There was very little making the medicine alive in all ways. What happens after and before can sometimes be even greater than what happens within, because the medicine can be so silent for some. You're right. It may not be visual. It may not be that super psychedelic-y experience. It may be very hard. It may take you deep into the place that we have called the shadow, what others call the psyche, what others call the soul, what others call the low. But it takes you deep into the place that I would like to call the wound. And sometimes it can take you there so much that it takes the mind out. And it takes you only to the feeling. And when you, as a human, or us as humans, have stopped ourselves from feeling, then that can be shocking. It can produce quite a shocking experience. So yes, sometimes we're not going to get that experience or that wow to meet the spirit of ayahuasca, though the medicine always knows. The medicine is the greatest leader. The medicine is the divine knower, and I like to call it God in a cup. And I know that that's very bold of me, but on Good Friday, like a good girl who was brought up in the Catholic Church, I'm going to say it's God in a cup. And it's the closest thing I have found to actually let you see that you're God. And that your spirit is never far from you. It may feel like it's far, but it's actually very near. And ayahuasca, the kapi vine, and the tracuna leaf together brew a spirit medicine that is meaning to talk to your soul so that it can communicate with your spirit and you can be on your divine path always. And it can look very differently for many different people. So a little bit about our ritual and how we open. Very commonly, we sit down with the medicine, right? We, maybe I'll talk a little bit about, before I do that, I'll talk a little bit about dieta. And I'll talk about the importance of dieting. Now, when we sit in the States, I know it's often not that talked about, and that's totally the facilitator's choice. I have found in all my work with spirit medicines, and I started my path as an herbalist, facilitating, right? I actually drank medicine first, and then I was clearly connected to the fact that I would be doing herbal and plant medicine. And so I started herbalism. And I've found that when we diet plants and when we diet lifestyle ways before we take this medicine, the gifts are supremely felt and supremely experienced. And I use that very grand word because I want to give the value to the dietaing part. In the Amazon and in traditional indigenous medicine, we understand that when we live a lifestyle, that we're able to attain states of consciousness, especially when we are ingesting live beings that have been processed and cooked and enlivened through an alchemic process of fire, wind, water, earth, that we are able to really attain phenomenal states of living and being. So when we are able to even make inclinations to dietaing prior to sitting with the medicine, it is such a gift. So when I say dietaing, if you're in the Amazon, the dieta is going to look possibly like ingesting other plants, master plants. It's going to look like refraining from certain foods and refraining from certain lifestyle activities. anything that's related to alcohol, any other psychedelic medicines, or spirit medicines that are psychedelic in nature, possibly like the more commonly ones like cannabis, Santa Maria, psilocybin, right? It's also going to be refraining from sex or sexual experiences. What's the reason for that? Because there's a belief that while your being, while your holiness is coming into its pure divinity, that to engage with another being, regardless if they're so holy themselves, this is not about their holiness, but it's about the fact that you're learning and that you're getting to your ultimate state of pristineness. So that's some of the lifestyle. It's going to be a lot more of a silent space, a much more of a meditative and reflective space. Is this always real in the States? Take it from someone who is really learning this and like fly by the seat of her pants kind of girl, because I work in many different realms. It is really a real task, and it is a real learning, and I'm honored to be able to be a beneficiary of the learning of this way. So that's the lifestyle kind of dieta. And then there's foods actually to refrain from stimulants like coffee or caffeine, right? To refrain from processed foods. Because we realize that when we are raw and when we're going much more to the organic, natural states, that we are able to offer so much more to our communication and to our vehicle. So now we're wholly creating the wholeness of our vehicle, right? And to refrain from fermented foods. Fermented foods are interesting, right? Because I'm a big yogurt girl. I'm a vegetarian, so I eat, and I don't always do yogurt. I went back because of the milk and all those things, and I'm not so down with that part that we have in the US. But also the fermenting. This medicine is already fermented. And this medicine, when it comes in contact with a fermented kind of animal byproduct, like yogurt or like kimchi, it can really have a pretty adverse experience. Also like spicy foods, right, that are fermented, like when you have chile, which I love, from Central America. It can go highly the wrong way. So we really try to stay, which I love, but it's not easy because I also love spices. We try to have a very bland diet so that the only thing that we're learning and that we're engaging with and that can talk to every part of our senses is the medicine. So some of the things to consider and to talk about la dieta, that way of food, that way of lifestyle I'm distributing to myself, right? And a part of the dieta and a part of the preparation is the intention and the prayer. Whether you pray or not, and people come to me that don't pray, that don't have a spiritual practice, and that's totally cool. This medicine will wake up anything in you that is asking for awakening of all colors. And I say that with the utmost love for humans and our diversity of colorhood. So when we come to this medicine with a very clear intention, a very clear, people call it a goal. That's just not a word I prefer to use because it brings us back to the mind. When we come with a clear intention, as is, what am I intending to do? Whether the clear intention is I'm intending to learn more about why I stay in toxic relationships. Bam. That's a great one for Libra. Oh my goodness, great. So that's the intention. Then you start to meditate on that in whatever way. And meditation, I mean by you think about it, you sit with it, you kind of talk to it, you write about it, maybe you journal if that's your thing. You do something and actions or rituals where you allow yourself to bring it into your everyday as you prepare for the medicine. Now, with that being said, and if we ever get the blessed gift of sitting together, I will share that while I intend to do something, I also know that the medicine knows best. So my intention, I've seen it time and time and again, and the medicine continues to tell me it will always bring forth your intention. The how is the question. And the how is the place that the humans are learning to leave to spirit, yet to follow. It's very different, right? When I am the leader and I have everything in control, I'm not really following. However, when I'm following and I'm listening to the guidance which the medicine does, then I'm able to really have a partnership with this intention and to know that I am free of any kind of expectations. So I hope that that gives an idea of preparation and dieta and how to come forth with the medicine before, during, and after. And access and ritual. So when we start the medicine, we often do a light cleansing, and then we sit down, we do the prayer, call to the spirits and the guardians, and then we share our intention. That could either happen before or after, but there's always a way where we kind of come into prayer. That's the way that I've always practiced spirit medicine. That's not necessarily the way that they do it in the Amazon. And that's the beauty of this medicine. As it's coming to the Western world, I've found that it's asking us to shift it because it has to be applicable to the way that we function here. I've learned and I've understood that the medicine has said that it wants these parts to be in place so that they can help to create a container that it can move through and that will stay with you, right? Because I find that when we do that circle casting or calling to the spirits and the guardians, to the elements, into the directions, that stays with the people. And it's beautiful, and I thank you so much, Familia, that has taught me that that's really valid and valuable. And actually, it was coming in a lot, very heavily, about 2 years ago from the community. So this is the medicine evolving, coming out of the jungles into this Western world, which is very different. This medicine also works very well in nature. Yes, do they do them in New York? Do they do them in cities? Do they do them in great cities? There's value to that as well. And I find that when myself as a facilitator, as well as a participant, because I'm always both, right? That when I have nature around me to support me, my job is superbly easier. And I appreciate it. And I appreciate how the medicine can really become much more fluid for me as a vehicle. So I find it that when we can do this medicine in a truer state of its natural habitat, that we're able to facilitate a healing and an evolution and a transformation that's really gifting to our physical being. And that's my very partial experience. That's also what the medicine has told me. Not to say that it cannot be done in the city, though for someone who lives in the city and works in the city and is often impacted heavily by the energetics of the city, vibration, not necessarily of only humans, but the vibrational current, when nature is the predominating current, wow, it's a gift. So space is really a key component. Sitting with somebody who is called to facilitate this medicine. Facilitating this medicine is a very honorable and big job, and I've found that it doesn't really have necessarily a training manual. One of the biggest training manual or prerequisites is integrity. Integrity to the medicine, and integrity and honor to where it's come from and how it's gotten to our hands and what happens in a circle. The person who is ingesting the medicine is very open and very divinely connected to many different parts of themselves that maybe they have never connected with or have, and there can be layers of trauma, layers of unknown feelings, and bodily, mind, soul experiences. So really having a human there, we call them shamans, we call them medicine people, medicine women, men, curanderas, as I said, the full name, really having a human there to help facilitate and guide, that's going to hold, as well as help to bring in the healing and the cleansing and the ascension in a really loving, gentle, yet very true to what it is that you're experiencing is so important. And it's so important to be able to trust the people. I always say jokingly, and it's fun, so I'm going to say it because I like it to laugh. Know who you drink the Kool-Aid from. And I'm going to say another part about that, right? This medicine, I'm very honored when we go and we make it in these beautiful countries. You know, we pray over it and we make spirit medicine brew. And so that spirit medicine we're drinking, we're engaging in is that of the facilitators. So just really be aware as we're coming into a greater understanding of the relationship with our body, that who or what I ingest is going to be in me. So I leave that with you, and may you always be divinely guided. And trust that, and I trust your connection to God and your connection to you, which is God. So we do that part of the ritual, we call in, and then we start with what's called Hape. And I'm going to shift into that so we can bring it into some of the medicines, right? So I'm going to bring you through the current of our rituals, right? And so Hape. Hape is Nicotina rustica. I have the most of honor for Nicotina rustica, and how Hape is this beautiful, I'll bring it here, right? There we go, right? It's a tobacco snuff. And this blessed tobacco snuff, which is, there we go, which is, ahí está. See, it's a powdery film, and I'll put this over the altar so it won't go to waste. It's a powdery film, and we use it with a curipe. And this beautiful curipe, we take it, we put it in this one side. Sometimes I have the double curipe, which I appreciate as well. And we take it, we pack it, and we do a blessing to the person, and then we blow, right? We blow it up the nose. And this, so this medicine, Hape, is offered prior to drinking the blessed brew. This is not necessarily how everybody does their ceremonies. It can be done differently, but I'm going to show you in this way because it gives me some rhythm, and I won't be just talking. So that curipe, we offer the medicine before we sit with abuelita. And so Hape, what does it do for us? How is it used? Hape is a really blessed form of tobacco that's mixed with other florals. And this powdery experience that we blow it up the nose with that sacred tool called the curipe, and there's also individual tools, already starts to bring forth a cleansing, already starts the purgative process, already starts the opening to receive the medicine. It's often used in ceremonies or in the Amazon, like the Native American peace pipe, to open up ceremonies, to open up talks and rituals. It is used, and it's beautiful. You start to see it. It collects the energy and brings everybody together in a beautiful form, and starts to collect us into a one heart and into a one intention. Wow, connecting the individual to their body, right? Because now you have all this sniffing going on. You have a lot of deep calcifying of the first eye, opening of the uppers, right, of our crown, of an expansion while grounding us. Tobacco is very good at grounding. It also is a coolant and an astringent, so it brings everything together. So naturally, you almost feel like your body going to a little bit of shock, and then it softens. This can look different for everyone, depending on where you are. We do different levels of amounts. This medicine is very helpful in healing, I have found, for out-of-space relationships, for what we have termed addictions. This medicine, tobacco is a medicine that helps us learn how to relate with ourselves and others, hence why we use it before the medicine. Hape is also used ritualistically and ceremoniously in different ways. Ethel Nation has a really beautiful write-up on Hape, and it talks about its history, And it talks about how it was used in the Amazon as a purgative, but also as a social ceremonial medicine. It is also really blessed to already start the limpiaing process. As I said, it opens you to the medicine, and it also opens you already to your spirit eyes, your first eye. It starts to already clarify that part so you can receive, and it settles you. So let's say you want to work with Hape on your own. How would you use that? Let's say you want to use it outside of context of ceremony. I really believe that it's going to be very helpful as we transition. It's also a very useful integrator. Tobacco, as I said in our last one, is a gatekeeper. It's also an integrator. And it also teaches us when we're out of space how we are operating outside of harmony and outside of the center. Hape, blessed medicine. If I use it too much versus it unclogging my senses, it'll start to clog me. And that's the gift of spirit medicines. It'll start to do the opposite, right? And we find it that that's the gift of our bodies when we engage with these medicines. As I said, tobacco is very grounding. So if you wanted to use it, let's say more personally, and on a individual outside of ceremony place, it's very helpful on opening up the first eye, also known as spirit eyes, as helping for congestive disorders or diseases. Also very supportive for the lungs. And there, the back, right, the lungs, and really supportive to that expansion of breath and helping us connect back with breathing. One of the things that we have found in our human evolution is that we've lost our connection to breath. Hence all these beautiful sacred breath practices. I'm sorry, I just got to be really connected with time. These sacred breath practices. And Hape brings you right back to your breath. You can feel like you can choke. Straight up. You can feel like you're going underwater. And when you connect with your breath, that way of slow and easy and allowing it to lead you, then you start to really establish a real place of understanding of this sacred medicine, your breath that lives within you. So Hape is really beautiful. It's an energy. I find it of the east and of the west. So it opens us and expands us, but it can also be very supportive in visuals and very supportive in envisioning. This medicine, like Sananga, when used in a ceremony, can either bring you deeper into your journey or bring you back from a space if we need to call you back and we need some support by way of other medicines. If that's the call for you and Abuelita says, give Hape, we give Hape. Yeah? And so the way that it can bring you back is that it brings you back into the space where you are, into this middle realm in a much more conscious form. That's the gift again about spirit medicines. It knows what to do and it can do either or, depending on what your soul is calling for. So that is Hape. I'm trying to think if there's anything other that I'd like to share about. There's individual, I didn't bring that. There's individual applicators, and there's I said that great article on FO Nation. Also, Psychedelic Times has a very nice article too. And there's places to get it. And if you're nearby in my community, I have about maybe 2 curipes and some have medicine. So that's something that I can do offer by way of exchange. So something for you to think about. And so we offer this Hape in the beginning of the ceremony. And we start there, we already start to collect the individual energy internally and then externally. We start to get the collected together. And then we move on to drinking the tea. And the tea, ayahuasca, right? It can last anywhere from 1 cup, I've seen it last anywhere from 3 to 6 hours. Depending on the range of the medicine, depending on the expansion of the medicine, depending on the type of wine it is, it has infinite possibility, I would say. So in the beginning, when we first drink the medicine, often there is what we call a confusion. It could be a little bit distorting. It could be a little bit like, oh, is this even working? It takes anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes for the medicine to really seep in. I've seen it take an hour. And remember, when you're working with these medicines, time and space is completely different. Time and space does not exist the way that we understand it in this realm. That's why this medicine takes you out of your mind, the way you understand it. And so, we drink the medicine, and anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes, you're engaging with it. This is a place where you can feel confused, where you can start to question, where you can wonder if it's really even working. This is the time where the Maria Son starts to set in. This is where the medicine, the spirit of ayahuasca, is talking to your soul. And it's getting to know you. It's kind of doing like a diagnosis, what the medicine does so beautifully. The reason it's connected with the snake is because while we live, we die, we rebirth. It's always happening all at the same time. The vine also. And it also looks like a snake when you see the copy vine. And so we offer that. And then within that time frame, we're silent. Then we start to do what's called ikaroing, which are the calls to spirit, like I said, right? We've already started with the cleansing, we've already done the hape, now we drink the medicine, we go around in a circle, and then we sit in silence. It's a very internal process, and it's a real gift when we're able to really allow ourselves to connect with the medicine that way. Now, through the ikaros, through the sound, we start to offer a conversation from the medicine within you to the medicine within you, the medicine within the medicine person, to the medicine within our beautiful people that are ingesting and are going on their blessed journeys. And so that process starts to happen. And now we start to see the medicine take full form. That first cup, some places they only serve one time. I was trained, and I'm very grateful that I was, about the fact that all is welcome here. And so we really allow the full range. I have found in my experience with this beautiful gifting medicine that 2 to 3 times is more than enough. This medicine, and I want to say, remember, it gives you exactly what you need. So this medicine will bring out toxic parts of us, right? That's why it's an extractor. We often call it a depossession. We call it great at taking out the demons, all that part. We'll talk about that in another context. But because it could bring out these toxic patterns of us, sometimes a toxic pattern can be that we can't feel. A blockage is that I can't feel, so the medicine needs more to go in. However, I really want to share that the reason I found, and the medicine has been so grateful and so gracious in teaching me, is that really allowing the person to have an experience and listen to the medicine, how it silently sits there sometimes, and how more medicine is sometimes the key, and how sometimes not more medicine is the key. And so really having those fine details and those fine understandings are very important, because the medicine in those first 3 hours, that can feel like 10, or in that first 2 hours, that can feel like 5, or it can feel like 30. There's a lot of things happening there that are happening silently and energetically, and that's the importance of really allowing the medicine to do its work. So we offer that first toma, Icaro, go through process, and there's always a limpia and a blessing. As I said, the medicine works very much through me, so that I may do a lot of soul work with people who come to sit. So I always tell the people and tell us all that, my goal and my intention collectively, one of them is to be able to see your soul, to be able to see it in all its colors, because our soul is much more than just the hurt and the pain. It is many things, and I'm so grateful that this medicine has taught me that, and has really brought that beautiful rainbow that does have the color black in it. Indigo is black sometimes, because black is the color of the void, of all. And the color sometimes of wounds, and wounds can be grays, and wounds can be orange. Though this medicine is such a gift at that, at showing us that full form. So we drink that first cup. We have the limpias, we have the blessings, and we have a lot of that part where we're supporting the medicine through you. Then we offer somewhere throughout that cup, before we move into the second portion of the medicine, usually, we offer the Sananga. Sananga is the tree resin eye drops, and these eye drops are the name speaks about them. Tabernea montana, from the Tabernea montana shrub, and it's a resin that is also a purgative, right? And that clarifies the eyes. You put them in the eye, but it's significantly rough in terms of its burning. So you don't wear anything other than your glasses. And we apply one little drop in each eye, and the burning sensation is actually already pulling and drawing chemicals and toxins out of your eye. This is another medicine that can be used individually. I invite you, if you're interested in using Hape or Sananga by way of your own learning, to receive training from a medicine person, get it through them, and then you establish your relationships. You can learn about the ritual and learn about starting maybe a little altar, or learn how to do it in sacred space. Those parts are really important, and they really support and facilitate the medicine that's doing its work, and they facilitate the way that these medicines grow in our culture and our humanity today. So we offer the Sananga, and the Sananga is very beautiful at opening the first eye, but clarifying the human eyes. It often supports in visions. It often supports in really allowing to sharpen the detail. In the Amazon, it's used to go hunting. So they put on the beautiful Sananga, and it will sharpen to see small little things as you move through, and details. It's also used, which is one of my favorite uses for it in a psycho-spiritual way. It's used to lift Panema. And I've seen it, and I didn't realize that until I read it one day in Psychedelic Times. And I said, wow, this is really interesting. No wonder you can tell that when someone, all of a sudden, when they finally come out of it, you see the lift almost in their spine. I find it in my experience with doing limpias with spirit medicines ingested and without, that the spine is a beautiful indicator of where we are in our healing and how we really are moving through. So Sananga is very good at doing that part. And it also is practically, from a practical, biological, medical place, it's supportive in glaucoma. It's supportive in eye allergies. It's supportive in improving the eye vision. I know, it's worked really beautifully for me. And it's also supportive on the skin, which has also worked for me, for fungal conditions. And we have still even to know the variety of uses for this medicine. It's an antifungal. And the way that we use it in our eyes, that it removes and really supports the eye health, it also supports our skin. In some cultures, they actually use it by way of internally in the mouth in a different preparation. So the shrub, like so many earth medicines, has such a variety of uses. Sananga is also very supportive, as I said, in bringing you back if you've gone very far. And while it also opens the visions, it also helps to restore the health of your experience in the ceremony. Sometimes it can bring you so deeply in to your internal workings that you're able to see by way of clarity. So I invite that to, it's often, people often sheer away from it because it burns anywhere from 3 to 7 minutes, depending on your sensitivity. Though I invite that to open to the fact that it's asking you to learn from that, and that's a unique, so I don't want to really make a generalist statement. It's a very unique, I've seen it do different things with different people, and I've seen it be helpful in different ways for different people, though it's helping you see how you handle your ability to see. And I find it that personally, sometimes I can't do Sananga. I've offered it to everybody that if I do Sananga, I won't be able to be in space. When I'm alone and I'm working for myself and I'm able to really fully go into my process, then I can do Sananga. And I can really have that full experience, because Sananga can really take you to a place so vividly within you, as well as without. So before I go on to Kambo, blessed Phytomedusa, bicolor, also known as the monkey tree frog, I just want to say ayahuasca, also Kambo, but really ayahuasca is a medicine that's taking us out of our mind. And it takes us out of this analytic place, as well as it can take you right there. It could take us so deep, those of us who are like the super analyzers, it could take us so deep into that analytic space that it's helping us learn through that. Because the more that we can receive the teachings of this medicine in our body, the more that it's going to be supportive for the physical healing. I have a really nice write-up that Alberto, again, Del Rio, said that if you want to use this medicine to heal your body, physical ailments, really great. There's a great book, and I invite everybody to pick it up. I love it. I'm still reading it. It's called Fellowship of the River by Dr. Joseph Tarf, and it's a phenomenal book. And I really encourage those of us who are really learning this medicine in a much more expansive way to pick it up and to see the healing, the physical healing abilities it has by way of the soul. And if we're coming to use this medicine to heal our soul, even better, because our soul is asking for that attention, and our soul is asking for that healing so that we can ascend. And so it'll take us into our mind, if that's what we hang out. And it can often be very rapid, right? And the beautiful part about this medicine is that we can tell it to slow down. We can ask it to be gentle. We can ask it to be kind. And that, again, is spirit medicine. And that's the part that it gives us in those many ways. And there's more that wants to come through about ayahuasca and that form, but I'm going to move on to Kambo. Kambo, as I said, Phytomedusa, bicolor, also known as the monkey tree frog, is a small amphibian that lives in the Amazon, and it has no known predators, because this small little amphibian actually lets off this deathly venom, also known as a secretion, and that secretion actually protects it from being killed, right? And this secretion is what we use as medicine. So over a full moon ritual, they harvest it in the jungles by putting out the little legs, you can see it over YouTube, of the frog, and they upset it, right? Because when that frog is agitated, excuse me as I eat my nettles tea, while I talk about the agitation of Kambo. Nettles tea, yeah. So while they agitate this frog, it spits out, right? It's secretion, and so it's collected on this tablet. This is actually the outer, but I'm going to keep it closed like that. It's collected on a tablet like this, and then it arrives to us. The blessed Sango, the blessed Kambo, facilitators, guides, and it's often used and or known as the vaccine of the forest. And the reason it's called that is because it's used in the forest as that. They use it as a vaccination, and actually it has a series. So Kambo is recommended to do within a series of 3. You do it 3 times within 30 days or within a moon cycle. Actually, I am offering local Kambo ceremony for the Taurus New Moon series, it's called, and it's actually going to be May 10th, May 17th, and May 24th. So 1 time per week, we'll get our 3 in, we'll do our series, and we'll talk about preparation. And it's if you're interested, there'll be an information on the on Spirit Medicine Ways soon, our Instagram page, as well as our Facebook page, also being personal pages. So you can also do it within a 30-day moon cycle. I really appreciate to do these medicines, how they're harvested, because that's always real, not always. I find that these medicines are teaching us, and Kambo has been a good teacher about that. It's they're teaching us how to return to the rhythm of the earth. And the more that we can use these medicines in that context, the more that we're going to get rhythmic with our breath, the more that we're going to get rhythmic with the way that we heal, and the more that we're going to get connected with a harmonious connection and relationship with our mind, our body, and our soul, which is then going to create that beautiful alignment with our spirit. Speaking of that, Kambo is one of the most amazing medicines. I have found it to be chiefly exquisite. It's exquisite at being able to bring together our belows to our aboves. I often refer to it as a lightning rod. So as we see our spine, right? So if you see lightning go down a rod, it goes right through, and it's like a straight shot. That's how I've seen Kambo work. And Kambo is so blessed at expanding us so deeply into our body and reminding us how to heal again. This is why this medicine, different than ayahuasca, is often used very clinically. This medicine is very connected in a clinical way. It's intended to support our major organs, our liver, our digestive system, our augmentation system, our excretion systems. It's very supportive for our kidneys. It's very supportive for our immune system. And it's known by way of the many peptides, that it has, that it gives us back, and it sticks to our amino acids and our chains, and it acts as amino chains in our body. So it restarts, per se, or invigorates our ability while actually purging out and extracting the toxins, right? And so what we do know is that Kambo, another extractive, right, purgative, will bring out things. And when it extracts things, that's it taking out all the toxins. And there's a belief, right, because until the process, that when it gets down to a certain color, that it's moving through emotions, that it's also moving through deep bile. It's also moving through deep-seated parts in our tissue. So this medicine is also indicated for AIDS, HIV. It's indicated for herpes simplex 1 and 2. It's indicated for Parkinson's. It's indicated for central nervous system disorders or diseases, such as anxiety and depression. I've seen it really do beautiful work in those areas, and it be substantially gifting. However, with that being said, sometimes it's not only the 3 that we need to work with. Sometimes we need a series of multiple. And this medicine, like ayahuasca, are the leaders, and they'll tell you. And that's why we're learning now the ability to pair it with our beautiful medical diagnosis and our medical instruments, such as blood tests and other diagnostic tools. In addition to Amazonian diagnostic tools, we have Tucuma needles, we have body scans, we have a lot of different machines now, and we have clairvoyance, and we have egg readings and candle readings. All these diagnostic tools, when we pair them with these medicines, then we're really able to see how their effects. And if we want to do purely medical, that's totally cool. It's awesome, because then you're able to really see how it works. So how do we take Kambo? Kambo is done on an empty stomach. It's done on a fasting. That's why we offer it the day after ceremony. We usually pair it with a ceremony. So if you ever get on Spirit Medicine Ways newsletter, which I hope you do, then you'll start to see that whenever the flyers or the promotional material or the informational material comes out, that it'll say Abuelita in Kambo. I find that in my experience, these medicines like to be learned individually. I'm so grateful to the wise women teachings that taught me how to learn these medicines individually. the way that I'm drinking my nettles alone, the way that I have my comfrey leaf sitting there, the way that I have my singles. I'll also make my multi herbs, right? I find it that with these very potent and very gifty ethogenics or psychedelics, and when we're able to learn them alone for our first time, or even a period of our first time alone, then we're able to really understand how they have worked with our soul and how they work with our minds and how they work with our physical form. So if Kambo is calling you, and as well as ayahuasca calling you, then let's have a conversation about what that looks like. Maybe, right? When we offer it, sometimes people will talk about it through. It's very nice. So we'll have our 2 nights of ayahuasca, and we'll have the 2 mornings, right? Because our night is Friday, abuelita, Saturday Kambo, rest integration, Saturday abuelita, Sunday Kambo, rest and integration, always sharing in our party, right? Someone will do abuelita first, and they'll do abuelita again, and then on Sunday they'll do the Kambo because they've learned from abuelita. Kambo is also very good at strengthening our body as well as helping us to integrate the medicine. So if someone's having a hard time integrating the medicine and the understanding and the teachings, I may sometimes invite the idea of Kambo, if that's something that they're looking to do, because they can't support it. And I've seen that happen as well. At the same time, there's a benefit to learning it on its own. And although one is amazing and it's pronounced and phenomenal, the 3 is really golden. And if that's something that you can gift yourself, this medicine also needs integration, although it's an integrator, then I congratulate you and I invite you to think about that. So we do this medicine on a empty stomach the night before. You don't drink anything after 12 or eat anything after 12 a.m. You need that 12-hour cycle. And then the next morning, if I do a local ceremony, I'll start at 9 a.m. If we do it with abuelita, we usually start at 11 after we do our sharing circle. And so you drink 1.5 to 3 liters of water. It depends on your water intake. It depends on how full you get quickly, and it depends on how on what your body is telling you. So that's why this close experience with the medicine person is really important. You're always under supervision throughout the whole time when we're sitting with these medicines. We are always together. And even if there's one time that we have to leave to go use the bathroom, I promise you that you are always under divine guidance and always in a safe and sacred space, because that is something that we are utmost aware of the importance. And your being is so important to us and is so important to the medicine. And that's why it is here to help us see the importance and the holiness and the wholesomeness of our bodies and our beings and our vehicles and our souls. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you, Medicina, for reminding me about that. And so you do 1.5 to 3 liters of water, and then when you're really full, you come and you sit down, and with this beautiful little stick that comes from a tree, I burn it, and then we apply holes, superficial burn marks. They can feel like holes, sorry people. Superficial burn marks on the skin. In the Amazon, the men will do it on the top of their arms, the women will do them on their legs. I've done it in both places, and I've found that in the wintertime, the ankle, the shin area, the leg area is not the best place to put it on, even if we're guided to do it, unless we can have complete lower extremities free of socks. It can cause infection, it can cause pressure, so it can stop the blood flow and the circulation. So if you can do it and you want to do it in that area, then I recommend, or I invite the idea of exploring different ways to meet those same goals. There's an understanding that wherever you put it on your body, the medicine goes where it needs to go. I also like to offer it to people depending on where it is that they're working on. Let's say someone's coming for bad hips, And they have hips because this medicine is also great for chronic pain. It's also great for strengthening the bones. And they use it for stamina and energy in the jungle too. So I find that that comes later for those of us that are still healing deep years of this chronic living in the city, and or that are healing through lifetimes of disease. So it looks really different for everybody. But in the jungle, it is known as being a stamina gifter and an energy provider, as well as a pain healer. So let's say I'm working with somebody with hip problems or pain, and I would invite the idea for them to work in that area with the medicine. They don't need to. Not everybody's very comfortable. People are more comfortable putting it on their arms. That's very fine. I worked with people on their chest, and in the Amazon they do that with men. I worked with it on the back. In Amazon they do that as well. I find it that when we use these medicines, again, and I'll repeat it, sorry, I sound like a broken record, but it's kind of like my thing. When we use these things by way of medicine, then we're really coming into some deep healing and some deep transformation. So we provide the superficial burn marks, and then we go and we provide the medicine, and we put the medicine on it. We dab it, we mix the medicine with water, we make little dots, and you can find this all online, and we apply it there. I find that within sometimes 20 to 30 minutes, there's a huge wellness comes through, a purge. Now, we do the same thing, Icaro, Chacapa, and we'll do that a little bit later, which you've all seen. And we start to call the medicine out, and we see it actually move through the body. And you can feel it's moving through diagnostically. This medicine is very good at going, looking, and then pulling from that same place. So sometimes we'll feel it pulling. Like if we're working on womb issues, we'll feel it pulling there. If we're working on heart issues, we'll feel it like literally pulling out. It is also known for its phenomenal ability to remove what is also known as panema, which I just talked about with Sananga. And I want to say my few Kambos down for myself. I often learn a lot of things from myself, and then I see them. So I'm very grateful about that process. How it lifted literally the panema off my body, and I remember having a person, a beautiful human, share the same thing with me. They were like, I felt like this thing was just grabbing it off of me and just ripping it off. And it really is that energetically powerful that it can really bring into divine harmony and equanimity our being. And it's so beautiful at bringing that below to above to within, as it is to bringing that divine harmony of the feminine to the divine harmony of the masculine. And because it is not considered a psychoactive in that way, it doesn't have the same visionary attributes as ayahuasca, although I will say that if you're a very visual person, that it can produce a soul journey. That's a real statement. I've had many of them on it. It doesn't mean that that's its chief purpose. Because that's not its chief purpose, it has in a beautiful way of really bringing us to a space where we can talk much more concretely, much more logically, much more rationally. I find that after the 3 series, that Kambo creates such a pristine nature in the body that it brings us to such a divine knowing of what we are and who we are, especially when it's done with that focus and it's followed up with practices. All of these medicines need intubation. Kambo. People ask all the time, so how long does this last? What's like kind of the norm? I love those words, the norm. Or like when they ask me like, so what can I expect? It's great. I know we all want to know what to expect, and I can totally give you like a kind of an idea. But I want to be so honest, and I want to be so raw and straight up. No one knows. Only you do. You're the medicine. And these medicines are here to show you that. And that's why you come to them and allow them to show you and allow them to heal you through. And that's where you trust the medicine people and you listen to the guidance within you. And you try your best to move from the mind into the heart, which is ultimately our soul, and into the space that allows to guide us based on spirit, which is ultimately you. So, with that being said, I've seen Kambo, 1 hour, feeling great, pumping it up, ready to go. I've seen it personally for myself and with others last up to 12 hours. Can you be getting well for that amount of time? Not always, but you can be. And that's when we really pay attention to what's happening, to the electrolytes. And that's when we really pay attention to make sure that we're listening to how the body is moving through in terms of dizziness, in terms of drops in the blood pressure or spikes in it. Right? This is when we start to pay a lot of attention from a much more clinical place to what is the need. So that's why we do these extensive consultation calls to ask about if there any arrhythmia, right? Or if there any tachycardia, because these are considered contraindications. It's medicine we consider a contraindication. However, I say that just because that's what's written everywhere we go. In the Amazon, spirit is the guide. And the doctors, the shamans, the medicine women and men, las curanderas, las maestras, those listen. And if the medicine says, you serve this person, and you do that, and you do it. And you do it within your best ability to heed the messages of spirit. And I know that that may sound unlike medically sound, and I honor that, right? And I honor that that is a question, and I'm open always to having a conversation on how we're moving these medicines into what is called spirit medicine, and how we're moving these medicines into what is understood as rituals, healing, and we're moving these medicines into what is understood as you are the healer, and that your soul is here to do something very important. And it's here to talk to your spirit. And that can be hard, that can be easy, that can be blissful, that can be deep, that can be scary, that can be everything under the sun, and that could be super bland and nothing. Again, bringing these back into the context that they are the leaders. So for me to be the leader, or for me to say that I did this study and that we're going to do it in this way because that's the way it's going to be done because empirical research suggests this and that, is to take away from its basis and its roots in the traditional indigenous people who have been holding these medicines and have gifted them to us because it is their time to come out. It is their time to be handed into the hands of those of us that have a little bit of a different history on the earth. And it's by way of honor and integrity, though remaining true to them being the leaders, to them being the doctors, to them being the teachers, to them being the masters. Because if I let them do that, then I can let my body and my vehicle be that which it needs to be so that they can move through. And so Kambo is contraindicated in those ways, though I would not necessarily not provide it to somebody. I have wholeheartedly clear guidance and trust in these beings and their ability to heal and transform and ascend and bring us to phenomenal places. So other things that Kambo can spark up is like fainting, depending on the amount. Also kind of like, it's amazing for brain fog. And like I said, that clear thinking, that pristine ability to see things and rationalize. At the same time, this medicine, because it can look like anything, I invite you to give yourself the full day. It's much more quicker integrated because it doesn't take us so far out into these external journeys and other realms. It keeps us very deep into our body, and it does the realms in that form in a much more simulated way. So this medicine, if we're, let's say, for example, the Friday, which is why I'm so grateful to have Friday local ceremonies, because Saturday I invite people to not work, to move slowly and to listen, because now you have this medicine that is giving you guidance on how to live. This is why integration with the human is so important. There's a lot of integrative therapists now. It's so nice. In the United States, we're finding that that's really coming up. And I'm so grateful to have my LCSW and to have a history in psychotherapy and in those ways, because I realize now that's like was part of the guided plan. And to see how these medicines, when they're integrated, I do soul guidance, and I do that by way of much more of a traditional indigenous way, and I do talk. And there's always practica involved, which is a talk approach from our curanderismo perspective. It's very different, and I appreciate that we have an ability to do it now in the psychotherapeutic field, and that I can get CEU credits for it. It makes me very happy because it feels much more integrated and whole. So I appreciate that. This is the part that I I love to say, do you have any questions? But yeah, I think that we've really given it a full breath. I'm gonna just check here. Oh, these medicines, very much ayahuasca, as I said, for the wound, for trauma, for emotional and psychological manifestations, and also for evolutionary purposes, helping us to see. Thank you very much. So what makes this medicine so hard to integrate? It gives us such a close look at the truth. The truth for what it is to me, right? Because we have all different truths. How do I explain that? It takes us so deep into something, and it shows us it in its full capacity. The medicine always shows us things the way that we receive it. That's what spirit medicine does. It talks to me the way that I talk, so that I could understand it. And that's the gift. That's what shows us the uniqueness of it and its wisdom. So when it takes me so deep into a space of experience that can't always be explained with human words, that can make it very challenging for me to return to my everyday life, for me to go and start doing psychiatric work in the clinic, when now I could see the full gamut of the realities that are existing for this person, that is not just the symptoms of hearing voices, quote unquote. That's going to be very hard for me to go back and start working in the drugstore that I work in, and that I'm doing a cashier, or to go back and work in Target, or to go back to school sometimes, and study my career. It can do that. And it does that not so we can freak out, but instead so that we can start to see the grander scope of things, and to go back to the practices, hence the rituals, meditation, breathing, writing, self-talk. I'm talking to myself all the time. People think I'm out of here. Singing, dancing, movement, practices like Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, love it, the yoga, you know me. And starting to relate with somebody and open to the powers of the relational abilities that it has. Integration process, use, impact, safety, ritual, access, my goodness. And really finding that way for us, and finding that, and finding a partner, whether that partner is your mother, whether that partner is your partner, whether that partner is a therapist, whether that partner is your healer, your energy worker, whether that partner is your priest, whether that partner is your rabbi. The beauty about these medicines is that they see through anything that is religiosity. And yeah, so for me, that's going to lead us right back into this talk. This is, in Spanish, we call it Semana Santa. In English, Holy Week. And for me, I didn't even realize that on Good Friday, we'd be talking about this. I've found that we've, as a human and as a being, we've religiosity or religiosity or religious, made everything religious. We made it a conversation about what is God and what deserves to be God. Well, look, I am clearly a medicine woman, and I'm grateful to this medicine that showed me that. And I came by a very different route, and I came by being a full-blown Catholic, very young girl. And still to this day, I know my Ave Marías, Madre de Dios. I know my Padre Nuestro que estás en el cielo. I know my Ángel de mi guardia, luz de compañía. I know my beautiful scriptures. And I know earth medicines. And I know earth traditions. And I know one of the things that these traditions have brought us is to bring together and to bring into harmony and to fully integrate all parts of the human. And to know that there is this idea of right and wrong is actually a figment of human evolution, and that we're coming to evolve through. So today on Good Friday, on the Libra full moon, which is all about this beautiful harmonizing of that masculine and feminine within us, and ultimately the relationship that I have with myself, bringing it in together and to be into kind communication, very gentle, but it can be very overpowering with the other things that exist, right? And on this day, we're talking about these sacred medicines that are known to bring into harmony our being by way of going into some very dark, literally, no light places, but major light, because we are the light. That light that lives within us is the light. It's amazing. So it takes me into the depths of the dark so that I can almost forge through the light that is me to walk through. Sometimes it can do real dark stuff. It can have spirits, it can have figures, it can have really malevolent energy. It can have all sorts of things that we've brought through this lifetime, ancestral lines, para life happening, real. So it's an honor to be able on this sacred day that I do observe, right? And I also call the wheel in, and I also pray to Great Spirit Creatrix. I also say our woman, and I say our men sometimes to help people not feel so far from me. I also say Mateo, and I also say Ahomatakiwa, and I also say as it is, blessed be. And I also call myself a witch, and I also call myself a medicine woman. So I'm all these things. And so on Good Friday, we bring together Ayahuasca, Kambo, Hape, Sananga, traditional Amazonian medicines that started out by just coming to help us heal our soul and coming to help us bring divine harmony and centering to that which we are. Because innately, the medicine has told me, innately, we are inherently love. Does it mean that in this lifetime that I'm going to express love? Maybe I'm going to do some really hurtful things to some people. I mean, we're seeing it all over the place. That's the reality. And that's the thing that this medicine helps us bring through so that we can move through all of these things and help them see ourselves so that we can evolve and heal through. So if we're coming back, we can do it differently the next time. And while we're here, we can continue to do it every time clear and clear and clear, grounded in our truth and connected with where we are going. So on this blessed Libra full moon, that's bringing us into this divine harmony and knowing of ourselves on this Good Friday, that is reminding us that in this goodness we have sacrificed ourselves. That's what Jesus came to show me, myself, and that I am Jesucristo, and that divine light of that which is being risen in this time is actually me. You. That's right, you. I know you, yeah. So may they come in to full form, our within and our without. And as it propels us into Earth Spirit Tradition holiday, Beltane, which is May Day, known as the divinity of the masculine and feminine coming together, may they bring us into that place within us. So may we use these medicines in the most sacred way. May this Libra full moon grant us the gifts of knowing that we are divine beings and that we are coming to the cleanse all that which is freeing us and all that is asking to go, to bring into the deep knowing, into the relationship, to learn how to speak. And to learn how to speak, sometimes I gotta burn, and that's a characteristic too of this time, the burning, as we saw with the Notre Dame Church. That clearly my lines of witches have a history in. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful to know what it feels like to have experienced that and to be able to talk about it. And in this lifetime, to have forgiven, right? Because if we know the teachings of Christ I am, they are teachings of forgiveness. So with that being said, may Meet the Medicine have met you in your full form, and may this Libra full moon continue to gift you. In closing up our space, we're going to do it through song, as we did with our last one, and Icaruin, and we're going to do a little chacapay, my favorite. Something I didn't share, and I'm learning now, is that the medicine is also, right, come through the mestizo. Mestizo is the mixing of the Spaniard colonialization with the indigenous. Chacapa, the tool I have in my hand, is a mestizo tool. It's not a tool used in Shipibo medicine, but it is a tool used in mestizo. And when I first started using the medicine and drinking the medicine and taking the medicine and working with the medicine, even before I started to serve the medicine, I was working with shamanic medicine. I didn't realize until I started to facilitate the medicine that the medicine had an idea for me. That it was going to teach me about my mestizo line. Hence the shamanic doctrine with this tool. And this tool is very, very valuable. And it's also not necessary. It's beautiful. It goes to show us that. So this tool is one that I use very liberally, if you want to say so. I use it in limpias, I use it in blessings, I use it in extractions, I use it in restoration. I use it in canto, I use it in Icaruin, I use it in prayer, I use it in intention setting. Many zina, many zina, many zina, pura medicina, medicina, tan purita, medicina de los siglos de la medicina humanito. Trae tu medicina, medicina, abuelita, trae tu medicina, Kambocito, Kambocito, medicina, Hapecito, Sananguita, Sananguita. Medicina, medicina, puri ti 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 ta. Medicina, medicina, ayahuasca, ayahuasca, medicina, medicina, puri ti ta. Trae tu medicina curandera de la selva tan profunda de tu cuerpo tan bendito cuerpecito de tu alma, tiritito, medicina curandera. Curandera puritita, medicina, veni sana, sana puritita, abre, abre la almita, medicina curandera. Abre piritito, medicina curandera, abre, abre, abuelita, tan bendito la almita del espiritito, cuerpecito, mentecita, medicina, veni sanadora, veni, trae tus curaciones. Medicina de la tierra que amamos y te damos gracias, gracias, medicina de las amazonescitas, medicina tan tradicional, a medicina de la Amazones Andía. Gracias, gracias, abuelita, gracias, gracias, abuelita, gracias, gracias, abuelito, bendito. Gracias, medicina. Tabaquito, agüitita, floretita. Chabaquita, tabaquita, iriquito, iriquito, mea, mea. We give great thanks to the spirits and the guardians of these medicine ways. We give great thanks to the grandmothers and the grandfathers who have brought this medicine forth for us. We give great thanks to this blessed earth, Gaia, who has produced this medicine so that we can see ourselves through the fire, through the water, through the earth, and through the wind, and we can transform and we can get our wings. We can rebirth in all possibilities and all ways. We're coming into our divine human form. We're calling to the beautiful equanimity and to the assimilation of all that we are. And our divinity, that we are from the stars, that we are also from the earth, that we are from within the great abyss and the greatest mystery of that. We call to you, blessed beings. We call to you, blessed medicinas, on this altar and in our bodies and in our soul to remember who we are. We are ever grateful to you and the rituals that you have come to bring in. Thank you for coming to the ways of the humans, and thank you for bringing your ancient knowing. Gracias, gracias, gracias. Gracias, medicinas. Gracias, abuelita ayahuasca. Vinita, vinita, capi, chucranita. Gracias, gracias, Kambo. Gracias, 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 Ranita, la paisana. Gracias, Hape, tabaquito rústico. Gracias por abrirnos los ojos. Y gracias, Sananguita, para sanarnos, para darnos las sanaciones de nuestros ojos humanos, para que podamos ver todo lo que está alrededor de nosotros. Gracias por darnos la vista, el conocimiento. Y gracias por guiarnos a nuestro Espíritu Santo, Espíritu tan divino, Espíritu que somos. Estamos tan agradecidos. We are ever grateful to you in the beautiful form, in the way that you've come to show us. We are ever honored to be here in this divine time together. And may this blessed Libra full moon and this blessed holiday, saintful week of wherever we are and wherever we practice bring us closer to our divine sisterhood and brotherhood, to that divine sisterhood and brotherhood within us, that place of love, divine caring, divine knowing. Thank you, medicines of our time. We are ever honored to be here in full form. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Blessed be, oh honey, oh day. So it is, our woman. Thanks. Sometimes it just goes. And I can't really control when it happens. But that's nice. That's a nice part. That's the part that keeps me awake and letting me know that the spirits are the leaders. Yeah? And closer to these ways. With that being said, I want to just give a couple of announcements. I already spoke about the local Kambo series that's going to be with the Taurus New Moon. I'll repeat those dates. It's going to be offered May 10th, May 17th, and May 24th, locally in Union City, New Jersey. I also want to invite you all to beautiful Beltane celebration Beltane is my favorite time of the year. I'm a Taurian baby anyway. But Beltane is a really magical time of the year where we come into like this precious harmony and this precious knowing of our divine masculine and feminine, and we're going to celebrate and we're going to sing and we're going to dance and we're going to bring that divine union within us without. And we're going to do it in a sacred way. So we very much feel like a medicine ingesting, but there will not be no medicine ingested. You will be the medicine, and your medicine will be coming forth to bring that in. That's going to be at Soul Haven, Shamanic Fire Reiki in New York City. That details, if you want to get it, sign up for our newsletter. That is also on our website, and you can visit our website, which is coming soon. It's spiritmedicineways.com. So sign up there. We have already people who have signed up. It's very nice, and it's coming soon. But right now I'm doing everything through Gmail. And I'll put it also on the pages. Also, May Energy Update is going to be coming either at the end of this month or right in the beginning of May, because there's a lot of things happening. But check that out and make sure to tune in for that. It's also a live talk where we do monthly updates and forecasts and talks depending on the time. And it's definitely going to have to talk about that divine energy that we're coming into. And also, our next Let's Talk Medicine series, which is the last one, is April 26th, next Friday. And that one, we're going to talk about street medicines. We're going to talk about alcohol, cocaine, heroin, crystal meth, and those kind of more popularized street medicines that have a different intention. And like alcohol and coca, they come from sacred plants or sacred brews. So we'll talk about that. So tune in at the same time, 1 o'clock, and that'll be our last one. So it'll be our Dear Party series and video. And then lastly, May 3rd through May 5th, we're having our local traditional Amazonian circle. So if you're interested in traditional Amazonian medicines and doing it by way of a circle, then please reach out to me. And I hope that this video feels as good for you as it feels for me. I'm grateful it feels good like that. And I hope that it was very informative and helpful and puts it into a scope of how sacred these medicines are and what they're coming to gift us as humans and our humanity as a one heart and one womb. With that being said, I believe that's all the goodness I have for you today. I love you, and I thank you. And I thank you so much for allowing me to share in this way. It is always an honor to be with you. And I'll see you all very soon. Again, blessed full moon and beautiful holy week and holy time, and blessed spirit medicine of all form. May you always know that you're the medicine, and may that medicine guide you to the greatest places within you. Con eso dicho, I'll see you soon.